So is there something you want to say to me?
No.
You sure?
Yeah. Why?
Why?
What?
You sure there's nothing? But I was just thinking something more along the lines of there's a day that it might be when this podcast comes out, or there might be something that you might want to say, or what? Do you know, you're acting like you're gesturing, you're miming like you're miming like you know something.
I didn't know we started
what I'm putting down.
I didn't know we started the podcast.
We already did. Yeah, we started.
I didn't know.
By the way, I'm Mr. Gigabytes, and this is the Gigsplained podcast. With me, as always, is my daughter Serenity. And it's possible that instead of the one we planned, that we're actually release this early. You know,
on Father's Day. Yeah.
On Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That was a long walk off of a short pier to a cafe that was closed. So all right. Well, it's not as bad as when I was speaking Russian. I mean,
shut up.
doing a Russian accent. I won't do it here. I don't want to insult the 11 viewers that we have. You know.
Yeah.
Or one of the 11 viewers that we have. That would reduce the podcast by about 9%.
Oh my god.
Reduce the viewership by about 9%.
Yeah.
But in honor of Father's Day, I have a book that I bought at Five Below. It's a $5 dollar store for $5. Would you imagine that? I bought a book for $5 at a $5 store. So when they sponsor us, I'll tell you where it is. But I marked a few jokes that maybe some people might like to hear, or maybe not. I don't know. It is a book of dad jokes. You know, so I picked 3 out that I think are funny. We'll see if you do. So.
I have a really bad sense of humor, so I probably will.
You have a bad sense of humor? You were laughing pretty hard when I was doing the Russian accent.
Exactly.
So okay, maybe point taken on that one, but so yeah, here's number 1. Back in the Wild West, 3 cowboys were about to be hanged for stealing cattle. The lynch mob brought them to the bank of a nearby river and planned to string them up from a branch over the river. That way, when the men died, they just drop into the river and float away. Maybe instead of saying that, unalived, is that what we're doing now? When the men were unalived. Okay, you
Wait.
The mob put the noose around the first cowboy's neck, but he was so sweaty that he slipped right out, fell into the river, and swam away. When the mob strung up the second cowboy, he also slipped out of the noose and got away. As they pulled the third man toward the noose, he hesitated and asked, "Hey, could you tighten that noose? I can't swim."
I don't get it.
You don't get it? Okay, well, if anybody gets it, can you put it in the comments so Serenity can read it?
Shut up.
You weren't listening to it. You weren't
was.
listening. That's the problem. You got This is one that's sort of related to Gigabytes technology. Sort of. Not really, but it's sort of. It's about a parrot. Jake goes into a pet shop to buy a parrot. The shop owner points to the 3 identical parrots on a perch and says, "The parrot on the left costs $500. "Why does it cost so much?" Jake asks. "Well," the shopkeeper replies, "that parrot knows how to use a computer." Jake then asks about the next parrot and is told that it costs $1,000 because it can do everything the other parrot can do, plus it knows how to install a network. but doesn't know how to make network ends. You might have an advantage on that
Oh
parrot.
my gosh.
Naturally, Jake asked about the third parrot. He said that one is $2,000. Wow, what's so special about that one? To be honest, I've never seen it do anything, but the other two call him boss. Okay, that one she got. All right.
Shut up.
We're 1 for 1. Or
Bruh.
one for 2. Okay, this one's a shorter one. My grandpa would always tell me that when he was growing up, his mother would give him $1 and send him to the store. He'd come back with 2 loaves of bread, half a gallon of milk, a carton of eggs, and a pound of pork. He says you can't do that nowadays. There are way too many security cameras.
Oh my god.
That one's a little bit of a thinker, was it?
No.
So, yeah, it was out of that whole book. I got 2 jokes that were kind of sort of related to the. They were kind of sort of related to what I do for a living.
Kinda, sorta.
Kind of, sort of. So, what we're going to talk about this time around, can't really say this week because I don't know when this is going to get released. It's either going to be before or after Father's Day. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Let me, just for a minute, before we start getting into our main topic, let me just connect to the youths for a minute. And just say, dads suck, don't they?
Not really, but sometimes.
Well, see, sometimes.
Shut up.
They make bad jokes. They tell books. They tell jokes out of books.
I don't need a book to tell
You don't need a
jokes.
book. Well, I don't mean dirty jokes. Those you memorize.
No. No.
Anyway, they set the rules and they're all I'm the dad, man. Whatever.
Tell me about it.
So lame. Such squares. I mean, come on. Well, I mean, okay. So I'm all right. So maybe dads aren't so bad.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. See, you at least halfway agree with me. Dads suck sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's, and I've spent my life kind of not trying to. I don't want to put my parents on a pedestal. Ever since I became an adult, I've been if people think that you owe your parents so much, but you got to understand, your parents are just people. That's not something I've made a secret of around our house.
They're people who are related to you and older than you. There you go.
Yeah. They raised you, and that's great, but that's something that they chose to do. And for better or for worse, that's just the way it is. And some people, I have friends that didn't have dads, that were either being raised by a single mom, or so mom is dad, or they it's, and trying to fulfill both roles is hard. Let's not make any bones about it. It can be, I know some other people that they grew up with only dad for whatever reason. And that's not something that's, different people have different circumstances, and it's good to pay them a thought too on days like this and whatnot. For some people, Father's Day is just another day, and for some people, it's very important to them. And it takes all sorts to make the world go around, but there's no denying that Thanksgiving. I know we're going from Father's Day to Thanksgiving, but Independence Day is coming up too, but at least you have the distraction of beer and fireworks. But there are some dads that have sort of gone off the deep end when it comes to their viewpoints. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. This is not a political podcast. This is not designed to challenge your political views, but I want everybody to sort of think about this in terms of themselves. This is okay. This is one podcast you don't have to think about other people. Just think of it in terms of yourself as we go through the topic. And what I want to talk about today is sort of this. It's what I call the threshold of knowledge. And I've sort of mentioned it before, and we will revisit this topic over and over again in this podcast. It's knowing the limitation of and understanding the limitation of your own knowledge. I've used this in a lot of ways, and it really helps to visualize it using empathy techniques, where you're kind of putting yourself into their place and trying to understand. Okay, if I only knew this much, or if I only went this far into a topic, would I be reacting like this other person would be? And I have a friend of mine. Actually, I have a lot of friends I could talk about, but he has a sister-in-law that reacts almost violently. Scares people away when she gets to talking about some of the things that she's heard online and some of the conspiracy theories and some of the things. I haven't exactly insulated myself against these types of people, but I'm like one step removed all the time from these folks. Like, my friend has a sister-in-law that is very conspiratorial and sort of believes everything she reads and doesn't really have enough doesn't have really enough knowledge to kind of push back skeptically on the things that she hears. And so I have your grandma has a friend. You probably heard this when we've been on the phone. She likes to tell this story a lot.
Okay.
Where she's got a friend, she's in a wheelchair, and all she does all day is she's on the internet. And she says some of the strangest and most wacky things you could ever imagine. And it's and many there may be a lot of folks out there like this. They think that they know things because they listen to the news all the time. But here's the thing. This is the one thing I'm going to say about the news, right? Mm-hmm. It's very good at informing. It's terrible at educating. That's the problem. When you're watching, and you can pick up on this yourself. The next time you hear a news story, just listen to it and think about all the things you have to know beforehand to really understand the story.
Okay.
So you look at the story and think about everything you have to know. So if you're talking about facts and figures, right?
Yeah.
You have to know. It's really good to know where those facts and figures are coming from. Do they reveal the source? Do they talk about it? And then you have to understand, if you're talking about facts and figures, if you're talking about figures by themselves, you have to know math. You have to understand math.
That would be a problem for me.
It'd be a problem. Why would that be a problem for you?
I don't understand math.
Well, I can tell you this. 1 times 1 does not equal 2.
Well, yeah. It's
well,
obvious.
see, you understand math.
I understand some math.
Anyway, so you have to understand math. You have to understand, do they use large polysyllabic words? Do you even know what polysyllabic means?
No.
It means multiple syllables. Do you know what a syllable is? You know, you can drill down into this and go and get really deep. And if you listen to your favorite news, doesn't matter really what it is. You know, how dumbed down is it? How much do they explain something? Or do they just report, well, Israel invaded Gaza, or Russia invaded Ukraine and this happened? Well, okay, that's informational, that's great, but if you were born yesterday with just the basic of basic knowledge, with an 8th grade education, would you understand what they're trying to tell you? Would you even know where those places are? Most people can't even point to it on a map. They don't know where Ukraine is. You don't know either.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, here. This is where we got. Okay, so this is going to be useless, absolutely useless to people in listening to this. But I'm just going to thumb through. This is from the 1980s. It still has East and West Germany. But there's Africa, there's Israel, and there's Malaysia. Well, Europe's got to be further forward here. There's China, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, currently known as Russia.
That's a mouthful.
That's what it used to be called. And here's, we got Turkey. Well, Ukraine's sort of on here. That's Hungary. That's Budapest. We're getting close. There's Italy. Looks like a boot. It does. It looks like a boot. There's more Hungary. It's on the edge. France and Germany. And, oh no, this doesn't have East and West Germany. It's newer than that. There's Hungary again. Well, that's not doing us much good. Oh, here we go. There we go. So, okay. This is, I finally found it. And this is the world, it's a tiny little desktop world atlas is what I'm showing. So, there's Russia. Where do you think Ukraine is?
Over here somewhere?
No, it says it on the map.
I can't see it on
it's
the
even
map.
in one of your favorite colors.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, Ukraine. There you go.
I can't. But
so when was this published? So okay, now Serenity can point to it on a map.
oh, shut up. It's not
1992.
funny.
So I guess this is after the. It's by Rand McNally. Copyright 1992. So it isn't as old as I thought it was, but it's still.
Still old.
Yeah, it's still old because it comes in a set. It's got a dictionary, a thesaurus, spelling dictionary, atlas of the U.S. and world, a New Webster's concise office guidebook, which that's an interesting thing, and the New Webster's computer handbook. It tells you what a floppy disk is.
I know what a floppy disk is. And it's not floppy. I feel betrayed.
It is floppy. The media is floppy. That's why. Because a hard disk has got hard platters. If you take apart because floppy disks, I've showed. See, you're around all this Commodore stuff. Hey, it tells you what a mouse is. Oh, other input devices. A trackball. You want to know what a trackball is? It's in this book. Very informative. Anyway, dads suck. Anyway. No. Because they get off track on the podcast. Anyway.
Only some.
It's only one you know of.
You're not wrong.
So, anyway. Getting back onto... so... I've sort of insulated myself. I'm like one step removed from the super crazy folks. Because I don't join in with the conspiracy groups. I very limit what I choose to have on my Facebook. I limit what I choose to have and what information I take in and what sources there are. And I very carefully curate what I listen to. But I make sure that I'm also paying attention to what a more conservative media says. I've been known to listen to, well, I mean, he's dead now, but I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh on occasion.
Buys a truck.
Rush Limbaugh is not a truck.
No, a truck started and I heard it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on the podcast too now.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, if you're listening with headphones, this isn't exactly a soundproof room.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh, and it was interesting. He would toe all the typical conservative lines and make me shout at the radio every once in a while. But he said it was interesting that he meant this as a criticism for Barack Obama at the time. And he said that the Dreamer Act didn't go far enough. And I was like, wait a minute. You're conservative. Why would you... I mean, yes, okay, that's a criticism of Barack Obama's policy, but a lot of liberals felt the same way, like, this is a typical criticism. This is something we have in common. And from at that point, it was like, well, we're not so different. And it's interesting because I've been accused of being called a liberal. Or I've been accused of being a liberal. And it's probably more or less accurate. But here's the thing. When you're in business, politics doesn't come into it. In fact, if my customer, I've been known if one of my customers gets overly political with me, they're not my customer for very much longer after that.
Dang.
It's like, I don't want to get into politics, and I tell them I don't want to get into politics, and because everything's so hyper politicized, and I don't want to have a disagreement with my customers. I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to argue politics with you. And if they insist, I don't know. It's weird because I don't actively say, well, I can't work for you anymore, and they don't tell me that I can't work for them anymore. It just sort of happens that we fall out, as it were. And that's why I really hate getting into politics. I really hate getting into religion, but I have worked for people who are hyper conservative. I have worked for Republicans that serve in the federal government. I have worked for these people. I don't get into politics with them. Yes, they're political figures. You certainly could do that, but it's like, you know what? I'm not here for that. I'm not here for a political discussion. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to fix your computer. I'm here to box a computer up and move it to another office. I'm here to do something else.
Yeah.
And you never... The people who get overly religious or overly political in their businesses, I don't fully understand. I really don't. And some people have known me for years.
Like me.
Well, but what I'm saying is that, like, there's one person who's known me when I worked at Safe and Secure. It's another security company.
Okay.
And he was one of the first people that that I helped out. Well, he didn't. It took years and years and years and years of him knowing me before he started to get political, and I managed to steer clear of it, and be diplomatic about it, and say and I agreed with the points, some of the points that he made, and I understood where he was coming from, and made nice, but I didn't. We differ very much politically, and he just argues to argue. That makes the job harder for me, because it's like I don't want to. I'd like to have a real conversation with you and talk about things, but the weird thing is with the people who have been in politics forever, there's common ground. We all kind of want the same thing. We all kind of want the same thing, but it's weird the way some people get political. This is the last story I'm gonna tell about getting political. I was in a referral group where it's a bunch of businesses that get together for an hour in the morning once a week, and they say, "Hey, let's all share. If I've got a computer customer that needs plumbing done, I have a plumber I can refer to the plumbing and that type of thing." Well, one day, and this was pretty much the last day I went to this referral group.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys got up and gave this fiery political speech.
Oh no! Oh no!
Like, listen, if you are a business and you're not Republican, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're doing us all a disservice. And I am sick and tired of people pretending that Democrats can do the thing that the Republicans can do, and blah, 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 blah.
I would have left right away.
I just about did. Because the next thing he did, he started pointing at people and saying, "What party are you with?" And it's like, none of your business. But no, people actually stood up and said, "Well, I guess I'm a Republican," like, and there were people that I'm sure they lied just to not start a fight.
Yeah.
And I sat firmly in my seat. I said, "That's none of your business." "Well, you're a Democrat then." I said, "I never said that. I don't subscribe. I don't particularly subscribe to either party. It's just first of all, it's none of your business, and how dare you stand up and demand that we reveal who our political affiliation is." And I stood my ground. And he sat down when he couldn't goad me into revealing my political party. And after that, everybody up at the meeting came up to me and patted me on the back and said, "Oh my gosh, way to go! That was so brave." And like, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
That's how I was brought up. You don't reveal your political party. That's a personal thing.
Yeah.
This is a business setting. We are business people. I don't care what political party you belong to. We're here for another purpose.
Yeah.
You'd almost call me apolitical, I guess. I don't know. But and for what it's worth, I'm registered in South Dakota as not party affiliated, which means I did not pick a party. I can still vote in the elections. I can still vote in the primaries. I caucus with the Democratic Party in the primaries. But yeah, I've never voted on a party line, even when it was registered with a party.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter. You're not supposed to vote for your party line. This is turning into a political thing, and I don't want this to turn into a political thing.
Oh no.
I'm sure everybody knows somebody who has really gone down the rabbit hole, or really like your grandfather
Mm-hmm.
has had that conversation with uh, with that that friend of theirs, and they go back and forth, and they yes, this is right, this is right, this is right, and they get in their little bubble and they agree with each other. The thing is, I've had conversations with your grandfather that get political, and at first it sort of took me by surprise, because I had always thought that your grandfather was more politically aligned with what I believe. I thought he was a little more liberal than he's turned out in his old age. You listen to the other side, and you just sort of you have to the way you apply the threshold of knowledge principle. The first thing you need to do is you need to figure out where your knowledge limits are. Because if you don't know where your knowledge limits are, you don't know when to say, well, I don't know. And you have to be able to say, I don't know. So, and not just come up with an argument based on emotion. So the minute you get emotional, you've already lost the argument.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that people say, a lot of the things that people parrot as well, are designed to be inflammatory. It's designed to make you angry. It's designed to tick you off. And a lot of the times, if you're on one side, the other side sees you as the enemy, and they expect that. What they don't expect is for you to be able to find common ground. So once you figure out where your limits of knowledge are, okay, I know this much about this subject. And now I can approach it from, if they give me a new piece of information, whether it's true or not, that's not what we're talking about here. If somebody else gives me some new information, I know that I can say, well, I don't know about that. Instead of getting emotional and saying, well, that's not true, and that's just BS, and getting all mad about it.
Yeah.
You can sit down and say, well, I don't know about that. I'll look more into that later. And you can quickly diffuse a conversation that where somebody who doesn't know that they've got what's called this. I'm going to get into another definition right away. It's what I call substitutionary knowledge. It's basically where you take a falsehood, you take a lie, or you take part of a truth, and you sell it as knowledge to somebody, and then they have substitutionary knowledge, and they think they know a lot about this subject that you just sold them on. And that's the key. That's how propaganda works. You drop a leaflet saying that they're warning there are venomous snakes in the jungle. Well, that's a partial truth. You're not likely to be bit by the venomous snakes in the jungle, but it's not a reason not to go into the jungle.
Yeah.
There's more to it than what that little pamphlet told you.
Yeah.
And that's a reference to something, a propaganda thing that it was either in Vietnam or Korea. They dropped leaflets that looked like they were coming from the U.S. Army saying, warning, there are venomous snakes in the jungle, do not enter. And it wasn't it caused confusion. It was partial truth because there are snakes in the jungle.
Yeah.
But that's not, they basically just wanted to create confusion and scare soldiers away from going into the jungle to pursue the enemy. this is where I come from on this. I used to be a part of the Siouxland Freethinkers. And they were activists. They would go and talk to Congress people, and they would talk to lawmakers, and they would, to try and maintain, to try and forward an agenda, right?
Yeah.
And it was an agenda I very much believed in. The problem was nobody knew how to argue. A couple people did. To be fair, a couple people did, and they did it well. And I'm not gonna throw them in with the rest of them who didn't know how to. But a lot of people spoke very passionately about topics they knew very little about, and they didn't know how to present an argument, and they didn't want to listen to the other side, and they didn't want just the wrong way to approach it. And I knew it. I'd only taken high school debate. While there isn't a structure to a lot of the fights we have online, or a lot of the fights we have between relatives, there isn't a lot of structure. There is a strategy there. There is common ground that can be found, but you have to de-escalate the situation. You have to get them to calm down so you can have a rational argument, a real back and forth.
Yeah.
I have a friend, my dad's friend online. He is a little further down the rabbit hole than your grandfather. I think your grandfather does a lot of reading, but he does a lot of reading for fun. He doesn't read anything real political. He gets a lot of his political information off of YouTube, but he is skeptical of some things. He doesn't take it as far as some people might take it.
Okay.
Which is great. That's a good thing. That's and that's really how we can have a conversation. But somebody who's at 11 and you're down here just listening to them and going, well, you really have to actively listen and find an opening where you can say, look, I get it. I know why you're angry. I think if I heard that, I would be angry too. Use empathy. Say, okay, but part of that's right. You have to validate the other person first.
Yeah.
And you can't validate it if the information they're giving you is 100% wrong.
Yeah. You
can't find common ground if the information they're providing you is not based in reality.
Yeah.
So you have to de-escalate them to a point where they're rational. You can get down to the brass tacks. So you have to be able to look for that opening, validate at least some of what they're saying, or validate how they're feeling.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing for me to do. That was the hardest thing for me to learn, and say, well, I understand where you're coming from on that, but here's a counterpoint to that. This is the other side of that. And because we all want the truth. We all want people not to lie to us. We all want, and the problem, and that's the insidious part of this substitutionary knowledge thing.
Yeah.
That gets fed to people, where they think they're experts on a particular subject matter, and they're not. And that's where the threshold of knowledge, knowing where your knowledge begins, your knowledge ends, and your not knowing begins. That's when you can say, wait a minute, I don't know about this. I need to go look something up. I need to check it out for myself. I need to something about this doesn't smell right. And you can either verify or disprove the information, the new information that you've received. more objectively than you could if you're just trying to do a Google search based on the way you feel about the subject matter.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the gist of it. It's a skill that we'll talk about more in depth. I'd like to provide more examples of that. I'd like to get into it more because it's a lot to unpack, and it's a even if you took high school debate like I did, it's not something that is taught in school. It's because you're in high school debate, you basically, I have my information, you have your information, we're arguing on two different sides. The problem is you never get a high school debate format on Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's where people, they get irritated, and you just gotta, and I know this is the most common piece of advice you gotta stay calm.
Yeah.
You have to be almost, I really don't care what you're gotta say. I was, when I had my first productive conversation with your grandfather on a political topic,
Mm-hmm.
I was really tired. I was so relaxed. He could have said I'm fat and ugly, and I wouldn't have budged. I wouldn't have cared.
Dang.
It just wouldn't have mattered. And I was able to listen, and I was able to bring up counterpoints, and we had a discussion. And it was, for the first time, he was the one that left frustrated.
Dang.
Because he knew I was right. And it made him angry. And he had to leave, and I said, well, here's the thing. I said, right before he left, I said, look, I have a friend on Facebook he does this false equivalence thing between the right and the left.
Okay.
And basically saying that they're equal. They all believe the same thing. They all just do the same thing. And that's not true. However, he does get one thing right.
What?
He said, whether we're talking about the Democrats or the Republicans, they both got us into the mess we're in today.
Yeah.
And he said, we can agree on. And he left.
Dang.
So I was applying this, active listening, this limitation, this threshold of knowledge thing to other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And taking in the information that they give me, rejecting the things that are not true. But I can take some of the things that they do say that are true, because not everybody's a liar all the time.
Yeah.
There may be some politicians that come close. They don't lie all the time. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
There's going to be something that is true, something that you can expand on, something. But if you can't do it if you're not actively listening.
Yeah.
And you can't de-escalate if you're taking offense to the things that the other person is saying. The two things that people don't expect anymore is calm and you agreeing with them.
Yeah.
And I guess diplomacy would be kind of that thing too. If you're calm, you're diplomatic, and you find you can listen for the common ground, you can take any argument, no matter how heated, and bring it down to a simmer so that you can actually have a deeper conversation.
Okay.
And make them believe that you're not their enemy, because you're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to be their enemy. You're going to be you're their friend, or you're their, you're just there's a difference of opinion. And when you can bring the emotion down in the conversation, that's when real things happen.
Nice.
Now, if we can teach the Congress people to do this, that would be great. Because I think we'd get more done.
Yeah.
You're 13. What do you know about politics?
I don't know. I don't know anything about politics.
You go your whole life and not follow politics, not be involved in a religion,
Yeah.
and you will live and die the same.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say that a political discussion, things that are political, is substitutionary knowledge for things that matter more. I cannot think of one single political discussion that I could have with anybody on the planet that's more important than keeping a roof over our heads, making sure we have enough to eat.
Clothes on our backs.
The politics are hugely inflammatory, but just not that important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to get involved in the fight.
Sometimes.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
If people would just do the right thing, at least most of the time, the world would be a better place. If they would just try to think about the consequences of their actions, the consequences of the policies that they make, we would have less political debates.
Oh, wow.
The thing I've learned, and like I said, many years ago when I was involved in this particular activist group, is there are times when you have to get in and fight.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are times when it's not your fight. You have no dog in this fight.
Yeah.
And we get swept up in being offended on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah.
And we need to one of the things we need to recognize the difference. Just because I don't necessarily agree with the way you approach something doesn't necessarily mean that I don't agree with your cause as a whole. And I've had conversations with friends. I'm asking questions. I was asking questions one time, just saying, hey, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. And the one of the gals I was friends with went, oh my God, how dare you not understand this? You need to educate yourself. You need to go Google. And I went, whoa.
Calm down.
Settle down there. It's fine. I'm just asking questions. I just want to know. I need to know what to Google. I need to understand the subject material. And thankfully, despite this person freaking out and getting all upset that I didn't know anything about the subject, fortunately I had somebody kind enough that was willing to recognize the fact that I was just asking a question and I was skeptical. It doesn't mean my mind can't be changed. I just need to know more. Is what you're doing the right thing? I may need more information on that. And somebody was nice enough to provide it, despite them flipping out on everything I asked this guy. They said, oh, how dare you? You're insulting the... It's like, you're not even a member of this class that we're talking about. He is. What better source of information?
Yeah.
You can be an ally and still be, a part of the group without being a member of the class.
Yeah.
I've said that to you.
You have?
Yeah. You can be part of the group without being a member of the class.
When have you said that?
I said that last year at Pride.
Yeah, last year.
Well, so you don't remember what happened last year? It's just a blank for you?
Yes.
Like you were blackout drunk the whole year? That would explain your grades, by the way. Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
Shut up.
If you got everything that happened last year, that would mean school too. So
I remember some things from school.
Mm,
Some things.
but not your fatherly advice.
Yes. I forget stuff fairly easy.
No, because it's like, because I'm, at Pride, for lack of a better term that I can think of, I'm heterosexual. I can participate as a part of the group, as a being an ally, but I don't have to be. I don't have to be gay. I don't have to be transsexual. I don't have to be whatever, bisexual. I don't have to be any of those things. I can just be there, and I can buy things from the vendors there, and I can watch the parade, and I can do the things that everybody else in the group is doing.
Yeah.
I'm just not a member of that particular class.
Yeah.
So have you brought a topic to share with the rest of the class?
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Gigabooks Press, which gigabookspress.com. We are right now we've got a bunch of different we've got a bunch of different guides and manuals and things like that. They're short little things, and gigabookspress.com is the only place you can get the both the ebook and the print version of these little tiny guides. And some of them I'll even autograph for you and send them out.
Ooh.
Yeah. But one of the things I wanted to share is I finally I kind of, on the last podcast that we recorded, which I don't know if it's going to be before or after this one, I sort of alluded to, okay, I've been writing a novel, and I finished it last year, and it kind of sucked, right? So I had to take a step back and figure out, okay, what sucked about it? How can I improve it? Where do we go from here? So, what I've decided is, instead of a 2-book series, it's going to be a 3-book series, and I said that, I'll say that in the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I said that in a podcast. Anyway, so what's going to happen is, the original book was called The 8 Fates of Octavios. I'm going to take the first half of the book and make it its own book and expand on it. We're going to add some kind of foreshadowing and spirituality and mysticism and make it a much more interesting book, rather than just an accounting of, the sins of our hero / villain Octavios. Yes, you'll have to decide for yourself whether he's a hero or a villain.
Yeah.
But, so the first book is no longer going to be the 8 Fates of Octavios. It's going to be the 8 Sins of Octavios.
Okay.
So, that's going to be the first book. And that's going to have the same cover and everything. If you go to Gigabooks Press Facebook or go to gigabookspress.com, you can look at you can see the concept for the cover. And so the second book will be called The 8 Fates of Octavios.
Okay.
And it may not be 8. It may just be the Sins of Octavios, the Fates of Octavios, and then the third book will be the Rise of Octavios.
Nice.
And it's sort of to give you kind of an idea what it's about, it's kind of a reverse hero's journey, where he starts off as this innocent person, has bad things happen to him, despite this tries to be this good person, but then falls from grace.
Oh no.
And I don't think I'm giving away too much of the book when I say, or the books, the series, and there will be a lot of interesting things that happen along the way, and a very interesting twist by the time you get to the second book. The way I've got it written in my mind right now, it's like you've got we'll have some more mysticism, we'll have some more foreshadowing, but there will be some red herrings too. You won't know, and not knowing what's going to be coming in the second book, you just won't know.
Yay.
So, yay.
What? What?
Are you just phoning it in at this point? Like,
what does that mean? What?
You're just phoning it in. You're just yeah, I'm here, I guess. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me. Yeah.
Shut up. Be quiet.
You'll have to actually bring a topic for discussions one of these days. I can't. If I have to talk through all of these ideas, and then and every week, I'll be talking like this before too long. Be talking like that worm brain guy.
Oh my gosh.
That was. I'm sorry. That was low hanging fruit. Bad joke. Anyway.
Yeah, like a dad joke.
Well, kind of like. Well, yeah, but dad jokes are funnier.
True.
So.
Kind of.
I've sort of run out of things to talk about.
So have I.
I want to.
I didn't have
You chatterbox. You wouldn't stop. Let me get one word in edgewise. Holy cow.
I didn't have anything to talk about.
Well, there's your homework. You gotta go. You gotta come up with something.
I've got
to talk
homework.
about. Yeah, I got homework. I know it's summer, right?
Yeah, it's summer. It's supposed to be like a place, a time to like just rest.
Don't you think you've had enough rest? I mean, you sleep every night.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That's not what I'm talking about.
What? No, it's not.
It's not.
Honestly, I'd vote for all year round school. If they were better at if the school would be better at education, I'm all for it.
No.
You just have like a midsummer break or something around the 4th of July, and then a break around, Labor Day. Break around Memorial Day. I mean, I'm all for breaks, but the school takes too many one-day, these little in session things. These what is it? Where the teachers go to school but the kids don't. In service days. And those little things, I get it. Teachers need a break too. That's fine, but the problem is they start school around here before Labor Day and end it before Memorial Day. If they took fewer breaks, they could go from Labor Day to Memorial Day easily and fit a number of school days in. But they don't do that. Kids shouldn't be going to school in August. It should be fall, winter, spring, especially around here. If you're not going to go year round, it should be fall, winter, spring. And the school starts like almost in the middle of August. I don't think that's right. I think that's dumb.
Thumbs up. I don't know.
So what? Do you agree or disagree with the school year? Do you think the school year should be Labor Day to Memorial Day? Or do you think it should just be year round with more breaks? Because that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, yeah.
About how summer is a brain drain.
Kind of.
The districts that have gone to year-round schooling, while there are challenges associated with it, the students have generally done better in academics. The problem is we need to have raise the level of education. We need to raise the bar so that students aren't coming out of high school dumb as bricks. Right, I lay that at the feet of the parents, because the number one, with the way things are panning out with education, parents are dumbing the entire system down. And not every parent. Some of the parents who are loud and obnoxious that like to ban books. Those are the parents that are causing a lot of the problems, because they're not smart enough. They don't know where their threshold of knowledge is.
Yeah.
To actually understand the book. And in fact, there was a clip, somebody yelling and screaming about this book that had LGBTQ themes in it. She read a couple of sentences out of the book out of context, and they asked, "Well, have you read the book?" I didn't read the book. I don't have to read the book. Like, yeah, you kind of do. You actually kind of have to read the book. Not just the parts that you don't, that will make for a good argument in your case.
Read the books, people!
That's the other thing that's getting so politicized. It starts getting encroaching into dangerous territory. The education system, I used to say, it's idiots training idiots to train idiots.
Yeah.
And we have to do better.
I got non-idiot parents, so...
Well, that remains to be seen. I think you need to prove that. That we're not idiot parents.
How?
Because I don't know. But one way or the other, you'll have to come up with a cogent argument, and with evidence and maybe some graphs.
You know, I'm not gonna try. It's too much. No.
No, too much. That's too much homework.
Yeah.
You're just gonna go with the possibly false belief that we're not idiot parents.
I honestly don't care right now.
You go eat some chocolate or something.
Yes. I need chocolate.
I need chocolate.
You want to run me down to the gas station? I buy some chocolate.
I'd rather just take the car.
Okay.
I'd rather not run.
No.
In no shape to run.
Oh my god.
All right, well, enough with the dad jokes. So I've been Mr. Gigabytes. This has been the Gigsplained podcast. And Sidekick Serenity here.
Yes.
Who needs to bring a topic next time?
Shut up.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.